In this video, we are going to talk about the pre-generated codes of the C# form. So I have already created the Windows Form project. So let me open the form file. So this is our form, and if we are going to look into the view menu and then select the code, it will give us this pre-generated codes. So let's discuss this section by section. The first section is the import statement. Basically, this is where you will place all the libraries that you need to use for your Windows form. At this moment, the default imported statement here are the system, collection generic, component model, data up to Windows form. This section defines our class form. So it starts with the definition of the namespace, Windows Forms App 1, and inside of it is the class definition of our form. It states here that our form1 class will inherit from form class. And this is the constructor of our form1. Inside of our constructor, we have this procedure initialize component. So let's look inside of this. Right click and then go to the definition. So there are another sets of pre-generated codes in this section. So the first one is the private system component model iContainer components equals null. And as you can notice at the top, we have here some comments. It states here that this is a required designer variable. So we don't need to mess with this because if we change anything on this variable, it may produce an undesired error in our form. But basically, this is for the form designer. It is a required statement in order for us to run efficiently our form. Then the second portion here is the procedure, the protected override void dispose. This portion here is usually invoked when we closes our application. As stated in the comment section, it cleans up the resources being used. So all the resources used by our form will be released after invoking this dispose method. And then the most important section is the initialize component. This describes the look and feel of your form. The this keyword refers to the form, and the suspend layout refers to pause all the layout that will take occur inside of our form. And then we apply the necessary properties for our form. The auto scale dimension of the form refers to the screen resolution of our form, so the width and the height. The auto scale mode of the form refers to the font size applied to the form, that whenever we change the font size of that form, the width and height of the form automatically changes also. Next, the client size. This refers to the width and height of the form. The name of the form, the text of the form, and then we apply the properties we have stated here by resuming the layout. Some of the auto-generated codes has an argument false and some has an argument true. But this has nothing much to do with the initialization of the properties of our form. So we can just omit this for the meantime. So let's go back to our form designer and let's try adding a procedure to an event by using the load event of the form. And we can do that by double clicking our form. So let's do that. Inside of our form load event, this one, we have now created a sub procedure. So this is now the sub procedure. And how can we check that this procedure is associated to the load event of the form? Going back to the initialization component or the initialize component, if we will go inside of this, go to the definition, you will notice that we have another new line here. It states here that the load event of the form will contain an event, and that event will handle this procedure, the form1 load. So it is associated with the load event of the form. That is why every time our form loads, the procedure we have here will be executed. So let's go back to our form designer. There's no error that we encountered yet, but as we go back to our form designer and we delete this one, the sub procedure for load event, going back to our form designer, will raise an error. This is because inside of our form, under Initialize Component, we have this definition that the load event is associated to a procedure named form1 underscore load. But it seems that the form1 underscore load does not exist in our code view because we have deleted it already. So to address this issue, let's go back to our Initialize Component procedure, and then we will also delete this line, the assignment of load event to the form1 underscore load. As we go back to our form designer, the error has gone. So that's all for the pre-generated codes of the C# form, and see you in the next videos.